Hey everyone out there, people who are preparing for CAT, how many times has it happened that you have doubted yourselves? I mean, you have thought that you're not good enough for this exam, CAT. Why? Because you did not get that fabulous score in 10th. You did not get a great score in 12th, or maybe your graduation was just a little below the line. So then you have started panicking and you think that, okay, maybe you're not going to get the good colleges. But guys, let me tell you one thing. We don't need supermen and superwomen to come and take CAT. That is passé. Like about 10 or 12 years back, it was considered this way that, okay, IITians, engineers, or people with wings, with halos, they were the people to go and take CAT or maybe ZAT. But now guys, the trend has changed. It's just that people like you and me, very normal people, happy people, people with 2 eyes, 1 nose, 2 ears, we can appear for CAT. So please check out those skepticism from your heart. Please just forget all those points. And just to prove my point, I have got someone with me over here in the studio today. That is Saumya Vyas. She is an alumnus of IIM Shillong. Now, if I talk about her background, so she hails from a family, I think I would say it this way, that she was born with a silver spoon in her mouth, because she hails from a defense background. Now, after that, she decided to do her engineering and then she went on to do her MBA. But if you meet Saumya right now, you'll understand, and if you hear her story, you'll understand that she's another human being like you, like me. Many of you will be able to relate with her experiences, with her points. So guys, without further ado, we'll move on and hear it from her, how she did it. Hi Saumya, welcome to the session here.
Good evening, ma'am. Hello.
So Saumya, I just introduced you and you heard every word of what I said. How much of it do you agree with?
I agree with pretty much everything. It was on point.
Okay.
I especially related to the line you said that we we would believe that people with wings or people with halos crack CAT. But in a manner of speaking, everybody has that and everybody doesn't. Preparation is the thing which gets you there and not all other things which you mentioned. So that is one thing which everybody should remember, that it's preparation, it's planning and nothing else.
So it has nothing to do with genetics?
Absolutely not.
Not, okay.
Absolutely not.
So because people generally fear, the students out there who are listening to us right this moment, many of them feel this way, that because I don't have that kind of an academic background, or because my parents were not the very educated kind, so maybe I'm not the kind to crack CAT. What do you have to say about that?
I mean, I wouldn't deny that there are some people, a good amount of population who are genetically blessed, who are, let's say in some way or the other, more blessed than others. Luckily for us and all other aspirants who are preparing for CAT, CAT is not about genetically blessed people. It is about proper planning. It's about strategizing. Most importantly, it is about intent.
Okay.
And yeah, we'll speak about that further, but it's mostly about these 3 things.
Okay,
yeah.
So you said strategy, preparation, and intent. So with what intent did you start your journey? I mean, you are an engineer. You did your engineering not from one of the hallowed IITs. You did it from a college in MP. Right. So after doing that, after doing engineering from there, did you feel yourself good enough to go for CAT, or did you doubt yourself even for a day?
All I knew at that point was I wouldn't know until I tried.
Okay.
That was what I thought before I began my journey. I felt I owed it to myself to at least find out what I wanted to do. Only thing I was clear about at that point of time was where my interest did not lie, what I didn't want to do. So I was pretty much interested in what CAT or what the post-CAT journey had to offer.
Okay.
And with that intent or with that thought in mind, I appeared for my first attempt in 4th year, in my final year, even before I had graduated, in fact.
So then that must have been a difficult time for you to manage with college, CAT preparation with college. How did you do that then?
It was. I would start by saying that I did not clear my first attempt.
Okay.
So it was a tough time, right? In final year, all of us, I think most engineers would relate to the fact that we are undergoing, most of us are in internships, some of us are in long-term internships ranging from 4 to 6 months. We have semester exams. Along with, so I was preparing, so I had my internship, I had my semester exams, and I was preparing for CAT. It's safe to say that I did not balance it well in the end, because the preparation part, it also has to be all about, let's say a good bit of strategy thrown in. And I think strategy was the point where I failed. So I failed my first attempt that point of time, right, in my first year. So it was a tough time, and it showed in my results as well.
Okay, so you just mentioned strategy, and you said that that was the reason you think for which you failed.
Yeah.
So when you appeared for it a second time, how did you change your strategy? How did you rewire it?
It began at the in my second attempt, it began with identifying where I went wrong. And one thing I knew about for sure was that my time management was pretty much, I would say, screwed up in the first attempt, right? I did not manage preparation of all 3 sections well. And one thing I believe we all know, or many aspirants I believe will come to know, and whoever is preparing for this year's CAT, that your preparation or the level of dedication required on all 3, everybody has a favorite section.
Yes.
Everybody would want to spend the entire day preparing for that, but it doesn't work that way. It has to be equally distributed amongst all 3, and that's what I didn't do in my first attempt.
What was your favorite section?
VARC.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I love that. Okay.
VARC is a section which I ended up excelling in my final attempt as well. That is, let's say I was in the top percentile there. But so you use your strengths, but I neglected QA slightly in my first attempt, which I paid for heavily. And that is what I corrected in my second attempt. From the get-go, I knew what my strengths are, and I knew what my weaknesses are, which is equally important in CAT. And I paid it the right amount of attention it deserved for prep. Second time round, I gave it approximately 4 months, and I had a clear plan. I had a clear idea of how I wanted to spend my 4 months.
Okay.
So that kind of clarity I probably didn't have in my first attempt. With all of those things going on, second time I believe I had better clarity. So that's what I did in my second attempt. That's the thing I corrected, was time management.
You said just now that in the second attempt you gave 4 months to your preparation.
Yes.
Sometimes I see people glorifying this fact and saying, I did it in just 1 month, or I did it in 2 months. And then that is what acts as a demotivator for the students out there who are listening to this.
Yes.
Because unko lagta hai ki, 1-2 months mein jab sab log kar lete hain, to there is something wrong with me, because I have been preparing for the last 6 to 7 months and I'm not able to do it. So what do you feel about that?
पहली बात तो ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है. It's not at all true. I've always felt that people underestimate preparation, right? And probably glorify the fact which you just pointed out, right? I mean, more power to the people who end up doing this. It's great whoever ends up achieving the kind of results they want, and it differs from person to person. Not everybody wants to be, let's say, 100 percentiler, and not everybody, while everybody wants to maximize their score, people have a good idea of where they want to lie on the spectrum, right? So it's great for the people who end up doing this, but preparation is not overrated. That's what I want to tell you. Some people, I know people who prepared for 9 months. Right? People start in around Jan, Feb.
Yes.
They plan for what exams they want to take, where they want to focus their energies on, because not every CAT aspirant ends up taking every other MBA exam as well. So people prepare for 9 months as well. And if they get into the same college, and if somebody prepares, let's say somebody prepared for 2 months, right? D minus 2 months from CAT exam, and if they end up in the same college, it's an equalizer at the end. So it's a very personal choice, and you have to do whatever works for you. I think pegging yourself or pegging your strategy with somebody else's strategy is not going to work. It's bound to fail, because everybody is different. Their backgrounds are different. The time they have on their hands are different. Somebody has when I was preparing for CAT, I was in a classroom program. There were people there with work experience, and there were people there in colleges. The amount of time you have on hand differs from person to person.
Yes.
So to limiting your preparation in this kind of comparison is bound to fail. One should never do that. You got to do what works for you.
So if I ask you 5 strategies that really worked wonders for you when you were rewiring your strategy in the second year, any 5 things that you can point out? Something off the top of your head.
let's shoot for 5.
Yeah.
But number 1, number of mocks.
Okay.
First time round, I did not give mocks the kind of attention they deserved. Mocks is the key. I am a huge believer in mocks. Second time, I was giving good number of mocks and with regularity. And I was really upping my game with mocks analysis as well.
I was about to just say that only mocks or mocks plus analysis. And you
Mocks
said
plus
it, yes.
analysis. So I will just speak for myself. I wouldn't I wouldn't generalize it at this point. You have this initial reluctance to start writing mocks. You prepare for, let's say, 2-3 months. I would just say in my 4-5 month program, right? I was just preparing for 2-3 months, and then you have a general reluctance to, there's that point when you really have to push yourself that now is the time you need to start writing, 3-hour mocks, right? So initially, you should just get started. Once you start writing mocks, you will fall into the game. And analysis is equally important because the next mock is just in 5-6 days. A lot of programs offer weekly mocks. You can take it continuously as well, but I think people shoot for 1 to 2 mocks a week. Analysis is equally important. So number of mocks is first.
Take it, number 1.
Right.
All right.
Second, practicing your weaker areas. The more, as I said previously as well, right? Out of the 3 sections, there's bound to be one favorite and there's bound to be a weak area for you. And I mean that in comparison, right? Comparatively speaking, one will be weaker.
Yeah.
The more you feel that, the more time it deserves, right?
Yes.
Because you never know at the end of the day, on the final D day, what kind of paper it's going to be. In the last 3 years, so I gave CAT 2016 and I gave CAT 2017 and I gave CAT 2018 as 16 and 17, I'm sorry, right? 16 was vastly different from 15. So for that surprise element to not happen, since every year the difficulty level changes, so the more you feel that you're weak in one section, the more time it deserves. And that's what I did. In my first attempt, I kind of gave up on my weak section. In the second attempt, I was very confident that I will not be taken by surprise.
Okay,
right?
so that's number 2.
That's number 2.
All right.
Number 3, you have to have a schedule of preparation. Even if you are appearing for CAT for the second time, which I think most of the aspirants end up doing, there needs to be, I feel that there needs to be a schedule of sorts.
That brings about consistency, I guess.
It brings about consistency, and you always have the time slotted for this preparation in your day, and there'll be a prompt of sorts in your head, that you'll feel that you didn't prepare today, and that's just one day gone by when you didn't prepare, especially when you start nearing November, right? And a lot of people kind of, especially in second attempt, a lot of us, have this tendency to not have this schedule and have this in our heads that, I'm giving it for the second time, I know what's going on.
Yes.
But if you're giving it for the second time, there's a reason you're appearing it for the second time. So there needs to be a schedule of sorts.
Okay, so that's the third thing, schedule and consistency.
Right.
Okay.
A fourth would be to not shy away from classroom programs. Now I would say this is pretty personal in nature, but whenever anybody asks for advice, especially on where to enroll and what to do and what not to do in terms of when to start preparing, right, and how to start preparing, I would say that if you feel that you work better in a classroom environment and not in a remote studying environment, go for it. I feel classroom environment is a motivator for a lot of people. I went there because I was when I was in college, I was engaging with a lot of aspirants in my college as well. You might feel a need, especially for WorkX people, you might feel a need that you do not have, or you're not able to scope out competition in the market. So if you feel that you want to go for a classroom program, let it not hold you back. You should go for it, because classroom program, I'm a believer of it.
Okay.
It works wonderfully well for some people.
Okay.
Right? And the fifth one is when to start preparing. No time is too early to start preparing. If you want to go ahead and start preparing in, let's say, Feb, March, there are plenty of opportunities available for you to start preparing at that point of time. It's not too early. The only point is the momentum of your preparation and the date of the CAT exam should coincide. Do not exhaust yourself, right? So start preparing whenever you want, but also pace yourself, right? you should not be exhausted by the end of it.
Yeah,
and sometimes the process is exhausting.
It shouldn't happen like you start preparing in Jan or something and then you lose total steam by the time you reach
Exactly.
October.
Like your peak, the preparation of your peak, and obviously the entrance the time of CAT should coincide, right? And you will recognize the signs. So do not exhaust yourself. Everything will work out fine.
All right. So these are the 5 strategies that worked for you.
Yes.
Now, if we talk about overall goals and aspirations, I'm still wondering about this point, that why wouldn't you want to go and follow in your father's footsteps? Why go for engineering and then MBA? The first thing is why, then I'll come to the second part of the question. Tell me first that.
Interesting question, because I've been asked this question a lot of
times
in
I'm
my
sure,
life.
yeah.
Yes. So when I was in my 3rd year, right, I was very clear about the fact that I want to go for an extended period of study and I want to do my masters. But I was also very clear of what kind of masters or what kind of study I do not want to do, because it's going to take a considerable amount of time. Next 2 to 3 years, depending on what I choose, is going to be dedicated to this, right? And I was also very clear about the fact that where I see or what I want to do in the next 3-4 years after I graduate, right? That's an interesting question, because a lot of people have asked me at a lot of times about why I did what I did. So in 3rd year of my engineering, right, I was pretty clear about the fact that I wanted to go for my masters, and I was also very clear about the fact that I did not want to go into pure tech masters, especially considering the fact that next 2 to 3 years, depending on what kind of masters I choose, whether in India or outside, I'm going to have to dedicate a good amount of time and effort into this, right? But another deciding factor here was, while I was aware of this, I was also aware of the fact that professionally, what kind of career growth I wanted to see, what kind of roles I wanted to see. Even at that point of time, I think I knew that I was not a good fit, or I probably was not very interested in pure tech roles or the kind of opportunities which were coming my way after engineering. And I knew that I would somehow want to go into the managerial side of things, the business side of things.
Okay.
Right, and that prompted me to, a management degree, right? And after that, I narrowed it down to, there are several kinds of management degrees apart from MBA and PGM, and it would bode well for the aspirants to know that as well. But I narrowed it down to, let's say, a master's in business administration.
Right. That's more or less like you have clarity as to what you're doing and where you want to go.
Yes, I do.
And in all this, how much support do you get from your parents, from your immediate family? Like in whatever you do, or like whatever you have envisaged for yourself? Who is the backbone?
I would say, I've been I've been very lucky and very privileged to have the support of my parents from the get-go. I don't think there are a lot of decisions which I have taken by myself, and all I've ever heard from my parents is, if you think it's right, go for it. Right?
Okay.
Especially when I was going for my second attempt, right? I already had, let's say, a couple of converts in my first attempt. I had an offer from a firm in my 4th year of engineering, right? I left everything and I said, no, I feel I should give a second attempt because I feel that I owe it to myself and I believe in this. Worst case scenario, I'll probably end up in the same college which I'm converting right now, and I am okay with it.
Okay.
I wanted to see my parents' reaction as well, because they were also thinking, you have a couple of opportunities, what do you want to do? But when I went to them and I said whatever I just said, my parents were like, go for it, because you have clarity, and if you are okay with the consequences, why won't we be? Because everything is additive in your life, right? Every experience adds. So they were always supporting from supportive from get-go. My mom is, I think, my biggest cheerleader.
Okay.
Right? Every experience which I want to do, apart from, let's say, educational aspect, right? Everything which I want to try, my mom is like, yeah, go for it.
Okay.
So they've always supported me in everything I've done, and they continue to do so. They hardly ever ask me anything about my decisions, because I think they say that you are the best judge. We're not from the same industry. We do not have the same educational background as you do at this point of time. So you're the best judge, and if you trust your gut, then it's okay even if you make a mistake. And I think that's an important lesson, that you are going to make a mistake, but it's totally okay.
Between money and fame, what would you choose?
Fame. Fame of the right kind though.
Okay. Yeah.
But fame, money is always a derivative of a lot of factors.
Okay.
Money is a derivative factor in your life.
EQ or IQ?
Always EQ.
Okay.
Always EQ.
A very high paying job or a startup?
Well, I would love for it to be my startup. That's the ultimate end game here. I would love for it to be my startup, but I think it's difficult to choose here. But yeah, if it's my startup, that wins any day over a high paying job.
Working in a group or working individually?
I think that is a choice I can't make right now. Both has its advantages, and so I worked in both setups. I've been in an individual contributor role initially in my career, and I have led a team of 4 people as well. And I have worked in a team of 4 people as well. So I think see, if you are somebody who is super comfortable with working individually, you should go for a team role. And if you feel that you come to rely heavily on your teammates, you should go for an IC role. It's about getting out of your comfort zone. But I have thoroughly enjoyed both roles. So
peace of mind or money?
Peace of mind, definitely.
Definitely.
No arguments there.
Perfect. Chalo, great. So it was great talking to you, and we came to learn a few things. Guys, I hope you have understood what she was trying to say. She was just trying to drive home this point, that if you have clarity in your mind, if you have a clear-cut strategy, and if you know where you are headed, you are the right candidate for CAT. There is nothing stopping you. So whether it's CAT, XAT, or for that matter, other exams, you can just go for those exams with a lot of confidence. Right, Saumya?
Absolutely. I mean, if you feel that you're the right person for CAT, don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
Okay. So we have learned a few things from her. Let's see what she has to give us as the final message. Saumya.
Guys, not everyone has the same journey. And you will realize this soon enough, even after you step into the B schools, which you want to, right? Even after doing that, you'll feel that you have strengths and you have weaknesses. Everybody has strengths and weaknesses. The game is that you play on your strengths, because that's what makes you different. Don't try to compete with others on the same parameters. It's bound to fail. But if you play on your strengths, you are going to win. So it's all about exploring that part. You know, even in your CAT journey, and even in your, I would say, hoping that you end up in the colleges next year where you want to end up to. This is a lesson which you'll take from your CAT preparation to your MBA schools as well. That, you know, everybody has weaknesses. Forget about them. You have strengths, and other people also have strengths. Play on them. That's what is going to make you win at the end.
Perfect. So guys, each of you is unique. I started this session by talking about supermen and superwomen. I reiterate, we all are humans, and we all have it in us to go ahead and do this. So what are you waiting for? Gear up, guys, and please start your preparation. Do well, move forward with confidence, and definitely we are going to crack it.